Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Janice and I'm Malcolm, and welcome to our time, which is hopefully your time with us all around Australia, because we have some, and as usual,
Yes.
fascinating things to talk about.
As always, we do.
And we have a fascinating gentleman with us who is from the Art Gallery of South Australia. Welcome, James.
Thank you very much, Malcolm.
How lovely to have you with us.
It's great to be here.
Particularly to talk about something that probably is a little more unusual.
James, you are the curator
Of Asian
art.
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
is, we haven't had that before, Malcolm. We have had curators on the program before, but not to do with
Explain.
Asian.
Well, a first time.
There you go. You're a first timer.
Wonderful.
Isn't that good?
Yes.
Now, just explain, what is a curator?
Well, a curator is somebody who's like the caretaker of a collection, a researcher, the person who does the exhibitions, who puts the exhibitions together, the displays and all the rest.
And we're here today, well, you're here with us to talk about, it's not an exhibition, it is a display.
Yes, displays come from the permanent collection of the Art Gallery of South Australia, and they rotate. And the Art Gallery of South Australia is actually the only gallery in Australia, the only public institution with a permanent Islamic display of Islamic
And what's
art.
the attitude towards an Islamic display? Because at the moment people are confused, sadly, about what Islamic is, whether it be in the religion or the art or the people.
Yes, that's very true. There's one of the reasons we in fact started this exhibition. I was inspired to do it after the Bali bombings, where I felt that we needed to, as a public face of multiculturalism in South Australia, which the Art Gallery is, we need to actually promote a better understanding of Islamic art. And it's, you ask what is Islamic art? Well, you know, it's very complex, a very, very complex area. It's like saying what is Christian art? What is Buddhist art?
Well, that's true. That's true. Does it need to have a religious connotation?
Well, generally the term Islamic art is a bit different to when we talk about Christian art. In Christian art, it does have a connotation, definite religious connotation. Because Islam has such a consciousness of itself being a totalitarian in society, like the community of believers. The term Islamic art doesn't necessarily mean religious art. It does mean any objects created in the context of Islamic societies. And it doesn't necessarily have to even be by Muslim artists. We've got in our collection is an extraordinary carpet which is signed by...
Well, we've got some examples of that here.
Yeah, I'm talking just
About this
one of those.
Okay.
Exactly.
Let's have a look at that, because it's. I love the colour and what this is, and I've seen similar things to this in the Blue Mosque in Turkey.
Yeah, this actually is a Javanese batik, and it's actually based on a patchwork pattern. Now, in Sufi, in Islam, mystical Islam practices, people would often wear patchwork jackets because they were kind of symbolic of spiritual power. But here we see it's actually been made into a batik to be worn as a dress rather than as a kind of mystical garment.
I don't know, would you hang that piece on a wall?
No, it's actually a tube skirt.
Is it?
It would have been wrapped around the centre of the, the wearer would have worn it wrapped around. Now, you might have noticed on it, yes?
But a lot of the art tends to be in that sort of the block look, the triangles, the squares.
Well, geometrical pattern.
Geometrical, that's the word I was looking for. How nice to have somebody with intelligence on the program.
Not really. No, geometrical is, that's related to a very strong Islamic Muslim belief about the infinite nature of God, of Allah, that is endless, and that the geometrical order, the pattern, is like something, a configuration that has no borders.
So it's
endless, continuous.
Right.
Now, you might have noticed on that particular textile we were looking at, that actually there's also a lot of floral designs. Now,
Well,
flowers.
is that why you called the exhibition Paradise on Earth?
Exactly. That's floral patterns have a great deal of significance in Islam. And floral motifs. Not only it has a significance in romantic poetry, young lovers are often described as compared to a flower or compared to a rose. For example, Hafiz of Shiraz, a very famous medieval Persian poet, compared his young male lover to a rose, being like a face like a rose. Sometimes people
red and flushed.
Yeah, red and flushed.
Malcolm.
Well, is a face like a rose?
I think it's
rose
embarrassment.
red.
But also the other important thing, and this is why we titled this particular display Paradise on Earth, is that in Islam the notion, and it's reiterated in the Quran, that when you die the saved will go to paradise. Now, many people aren't aware actually that our word paradise in English actually comes from an old Persian word meaning a walled garden.
Oh, okay.
And it's a notion that after you die, you go to this realm of verdant flowers. In fact, one of the hadith, one of the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad says, in fact, alludes to people actually wearing flowers as clothing in paradise. So
Well, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, but it's but I suppose in a way, when you think about cotton, is really the result of a flower.
Yeah.
I suppose.
and that's very, very perceptive, yeah. And
Oh,
of
no.
course, I'm sorry
I
you're
know,
being
it's terrifying
very-
sometimes.
Well, some of the greatest, Muslim textiles are actually done in Indian cottons. The Indians were great dyers.
Well,
and
when you
printers.
think about it though, because the culture really started in Arabia and therefore very much a desert culture, paradise would be a walled garden.
Exactly.
And literally that's what you'd be looking for all the time. You'd be looking for the oasis. Is it oasis?
Oh, don't know.
I don't know either,
Tricky.
but well, why don't you know? You
I
should
don't
know.
know.
That.
Well, I
the
think
answer to
we
that,
these
James.
questions
Oasis.
It wasn't in those days. There was no Dubai or
No.
So they actually, they were definitely looking for that. And
Well, I've just come back from Abu Dhabi just
Well, there
recently,
you are.
and just seeing the look of that, and actually some of the other art that we've got that's also as part of this display. There's a great. Is it a cabinet you've got
Or
a
a
photograph
door?
of with us?
that is actually an ornamental screen.
Is it?
Now,
okay.
that's particularly interesting because it comes
Here it
from...
is.
Yeah, this actually comes from an old Adelaide collection. And we believe it probably came to Adelaide in the late 19th century. And people tend to think, this awareness of Islamic art is just contemporary. But actually, if you look at old advertisements in the Advertiser, they're advertising Indian furniture,
Yes.
often very much in a Muslim style. And this particular cabinet, this particular screen, actually, the pattern on it is a copy of the screen that surrounds the tomb in the Taj Mahal, the mausoleum in the Taj
It's
Mahal.
Oh, okay.
very
And
intricate,
yeah,
isn't it?
it's astonishingly intricate, actually, if
amazing.
you see it.
I've actually been there too, but interestingly enough, it's got that Indian look about it as well, hasn't it?
It's Indian.
Yes.
It is Indian.
Well, it is
yes.
Indian,
It is Indian. It was probably made for an international exhibition and then
Right.
brought to Australia to
Right.
sell. Yeah.
Well, I suppose people have imported furniture from all over the world, as long as we've been here, really, haven't they?
Well, the gallery's next major exhibition is actually titled Treasure Ships, Art in the Age of Spices. Includes a lot of Islamic art, but it's exactly on that topic. It's
Right.
on the whole East-West exchange. We're borrowing 298 works of art from 33 collections, including Portugal, Lisbon, United States, India, Singapore, Indonesia.
Fantastic.
And the show opens on June the 12th.
That's now, because I am a friend of the art gallery, that I did have a notice
that
that
won't
there will
last.
be.
Don't say
Just
that.
ignore
we're
it, please,
good to
James.
our friends.
Yes, you are.
Good to our friends.
That there's a special dinner, isn't there?
Yes, there's a
to do
special
with
dinner,
that?
which...
All spices. and
Yeah, special
different
dinner on
chefs.
spices. It's a fundraising event, which I and Russell Kelty, the Assistant Asian Art Curator, will be talking about this exhibition. And there's some astonishing pieces in it. Even I'm kind of
Blown away.
blown away by the kind of works that we've got. So it's about lushness, and it goes actually right up to the, of course, the discovery of Australia was part of the spice trade. And we've got things like a convict shirt made with Indian textiles. That
Okay.
actually early convicts were dressed in Indian cloth. It's very interesting.
Oh yes, of course they would have been, and
Yeah,
that would have been the British influence, and
Yes,
because
yeah,
cotton doesn't
yeah,
grow in
yeah.
the UK,
Yeah,
really. does
exactly, it
So it
doesn't.
had to come from somewhere.
It came from India.
James, as we've been talking, I've just been thinking, a lot of people probably don't really consider the relevance of art galleries and the need to have repositories of art and the opportunity to go and see it. And in many ways, I suppose the great thing about having you on the program is to reintroduce that idea back to people. Hey, these places are here for you to go to see.
Yeah, look, our displays are all free. They're actually owned by the people of South Australia. The collection isn't owned by the government. It's actually owned under law by the people of South Australia. of course, we're the custodians of it and the caretakers. So it's really, your collection.
And that's a very interesting point you make, because I think most people think of art galleries as just pictures hanging on the wall or a few statues in the corner. But it's a lot more than that, isn't it?
Exactly. It's actually, I'd say, art galleries, as you probably know, becoming a friend of the Art Gallery of South Australia. Art galleries are actually a way of life.
So how do you become a friend of the art gallery? Because nobody's asked me.
Well, you walk in the door and ask to be a friend. That's
Okay.
it. Yes. Easy as that,
Is it
Malcolm.
that easy?
Absolutely, isn't it, James?
Yeah, and like lots of people just come in, it's great. For example, our Islamic display, I get immense pleasure, regularly TESOL teachers, teachers who are teaching English as a second language to young Muslim refugees, Afghans, Hazara people from the Middle East, regularly bring them to the gallery, and it's just wonderful to see them looking at these displays. And, you don't have to go in and feel obliged to look at every work on the wall. Sometimes it's enough to look at
But there
one.
was another piece that we haven't looked at yet.
Oh, that's true.
The last piece.
But
if
it
we can
truly is a bit
quickly.
like TV. You can just see that one exhibition stroke program.
James,
Here's a rug. I love
beautiful.
these.
Well, this is an extraordinary rug. It's one of the gems in our collection. It's called the Yaqub Polonaise. It was a Muslim carpet woven in Iran in about 1640. But this is unique in the world in that actually, if you look closely at it, it has woven into the design the name of a Christian Armenian weaver. So here we have an archetypal example of Islamic art. It's classic Islamic art with the floral patterns, the abstract patterns made by an Armenian
It's
Christian.
amazing. James, thank you so much. There's so much more we could talk about.
This display is at the Art Gallery until September.
September,
Gives
yeah.
our interstate viewers plenty of time to come and visit.
There you go.
Yeah.
James, thank you once again.
My
Lovely
pleasure.
to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome back to Our Time. Janice, I must say you're looking the youngest I've ever seen you look. I love your eye colour. How did you change that?
Malcolm.
And your hair.
Malcolm.
Your usual hair.
Malcolm.
You're doing that without moving your lips.
Malcolm, I'm over here.
Of course you are. Sorry.
And nobody can replace me.
Oh, of course not. Oh, sorry. You'll have to go down there. Just sit there quietly for a minute. Janice, why did you pull that joke on me?
No, Malcolm, we have Christine Broadstock here with us as our guest.
Christine,
Welcome
Hi.
to the program, Christine.
how lovely to see you.
She's
you very much.
a hair and wig consultant, and this is why we have all these lovely pieces here to show people and to ask Christine, what happened in your career that brought you into this?
Into this. Well, I would never have dreamt I'd be doing this because I've always worked in the city, and we had to move over into the Royal Adelaide Hospital, or we did move to the Royal Adelaide, and after about 10 years there we started to see that there were people coming in saying, can you tell us about our scalp or our hair, or the wigs, and when we lose our hair, and so that was how we got into the wigs. Started off very small,
Right.
and it's just amazing how much bigger we
grown.
are.
Well, see, both Janice and I come from a background of wearing wigs. I know that might sound odd, but the reality is in show business, when you play characters, you often have hair pieces or wigs that, that completely cover you, don't they?
But change the...
I changed the look of you.
Yeah,
for
Did
the
you wear a lot
character.
of wigs at the Moulin Rouge?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, and I
Every-
have my whole career of just playing funny characters, So wigs to us are quite normal, but I realise to a lot of people, they don't realise
The differences.
and how valuable a wig can be.
Yeah.
Because there are people who are obviously going through things like chemotherapy,
Yes, yes.
and then there are people who just want it for a change.
And alopecia clients who are permanently needing a wig. So to them, they will pay a lot more than maybe somebody who might only be needing it for a year until their hair grows back. So alopecia wigs, ladies or gentlemen, and children as well.
Alopecia, if you don't know what alopecia is, which
I do.
you do.
Yeah, they're those animals that climb up the mountains, aren't they? Oh, no, they're alpacas. Yes, I do know.
Patch, when you lose patches of hair.
Yeah, there's different types of alopecia, totalis and universal, or areata is little patches, and there's a few footballers that, you know, have got alopecia as well, and so, you know, it can just strike anyone. And once you've had it, it usually comes back. And then your hair will come back, but then often about a year or two later, if you get stressed again, then it comes out again.
That's a stress.
Yeah,
That's it,
yes, yeah.
Well, the reality is, though, a wig can change your face completely, and I've volunteered.
And the colour can change
All right.
one's face.
So what do I really look like if I didn't dye my hair? Oh, look, she went straight for it. Okay. There are different qualities of wigs as
Yes,
well.
yeah.
Can we pop this on and
Yes.
Just talk about the
this
wig.
is the a machine base, so it is one of the cheaper purely. Whether this will go on, Malcolm,
Of course
we'll
it
have
will.
to. Because that's
it
another thing.
blends in perfectly?
People think that one wig fits all when you hear it, and I read it in all the, you know, when I'm on the net looking up wigs, best wigs, and all of that, and they'll say one wig fits all, but it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't.
No, because
It's
we all
close,
have
though.
different. Well, it's
That's
a little
probably
bit
what
too
I really
small.
look like.
What if we put that? What if we put that behind like that?
Well done.
But isn't it amazing how it changes your face?
It does. Colour
Absolutely.
dramatically,
It really does.
and then we have to cut it. You know,
Oh,
cut
so
them.
you cut it to the style
Yeah.
that looked right for the person.
Yeah.
And actually, the reason we're trying them on me is simply because most people think of wigs going to women, you know, just women wearing wigs, but men need headpieces
No,
too.
but that's true too.
Yeah.
But then, of course, there is also the turban that
Turbans.
can be used. And
that off you.
Christine was telling us that once the
Try a
turban's
turban.
on, then sometimes you can have a fringe, so it doesn't look like
Oh,
you
so it
don't have any
right.
hair
Yes.
at all. That you can actually
We
have a little
could
bit
have
of
a little bit of a
fringe.
fringe down, and you would, yeah,
So I would look perfectly natural if I went shopping.
yes, just
Bit of glitter, bit of
Well, why not, I'd say.
sequins.
yeah.
And that's quite comfortable to wear.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
So there's quite a variety of those as well, obviously.
Oh, a pirate. I could be a pirate with that one.
Well, this one is permanently was another question
Permanently a
that
pirate.
people wanted one that was permanently tied,
So they didn't
so
have to
they
worry.
didn't have to worry. Or
Very
how
nice.
does that look?
Looks lovely.
Nearly covered your face.
That's a good look.
Well, if I wanted to be a bit of a hippie and if I was having chemotherapy,
No, exactly.
look,
We're laughing, but
we have
this-
to have a sense of humour with what happens to us in life,
True.
don't we?
Yeah.
Do you find most of the people who come to you for assistance have a sense of humour, or are they devastated? I want the long one, please.
You want the long one? That's a good question.
of going long.
Some cope really well, and some don't cope at all, and
Yeah.
some get.
So
a little...
you become a bit of a counsellor as
Well,
well, then, don't you?
Hairdressers are always in that field, aren't they?
Yeah,
I do a footballer, and he rang up, and I happened to answer the phone, and he said. I said, oh, you don't sound very well. And he said, oh, I've got the worst cold. I'm going to come in and get a haircut. That'll make me feel better. And I thought, thanks for that.
Yes.
You know, like,
Oh,
I
it's-
don't want to catch it.
I feel like Cilla Black.
Yeah. And pop it behind the ear. Always
Barry
looks a bit
Humphries.
more natural.
Barry
Yeah,
Humphries.
It
but
is
you can see the
too.
beautiful colours. and
Yes.
Yeah.
And styles too, so a lot to choose from.
But the beauty
want
of
the long one?
of course. The
Secrets
beauty
are
of this
coming out
is though.
tonight.
The beauty of this, though, is whilst we're sort of making light of it, it really saves somebody's peace of mind or helps their self-esteem simply because they look like they looked before they lost their hair,
That's it.
or in
Yeah.
fact even better. My mum went through all of this, and she was really thinking about wearing a wig. You know, she thought it was inappropriate for a
Yeah.
person to not have natural hair on.
Yeah.
But it just made her back to being
better.
Yeah, feeling better
Normal.
about herself.
Well, they do
Feeling
look
normal.
very natural.
Feeling normal, yeah. I love yours. It's so natural.
Thank you.
I was going to say this looks very natural.
Yes. I think I could have been.
Well, it
Could
is.
have.
So there are different
But the
qualities.
quality,
no,
yeah.
I'm quite happy.
Oh, happy?
So there are different qualities of wigs. That's the thing, isn't there?
Yes, different. There's different synthetic, and then there's also different bases. So that determines, you know, the price,
So
the
this
comfort.
base, okay, this base here, does this mean that when you part the hair, you get a better looking, you get sort of a
more
natural
natural.
hair part in it.
Yes.
Or, like you said, you can have a cheaper wig that you're only going to use for a short period of time.
Yeah.
These are more what we'd use in theatres.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
right.
And from a distance, it wouldn't make any difference if you could see a little bit of the taping.
Yeah.
But when you're up close
see a
and
part.
people are working and they put their head down, working in the bank, or librarians, and you know they've got their head down, and people see this part all the time. It's really important, whether it be through chemotherapy or alopecia. You know, they want to feel natural, and they don't want other people to know.
No, of course not. Well,
and step into their private
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
That's what
Thank
they
you,
say.
thank you. It's been good to learn that wigs are really handy things to have, and that there's somebody there to help you if you're coming out of hospital and you've got an issue.
Yeah.
You're here at the Royal Adelaide Hospital, aren't you?
Yes, we're in the RAH, and yeah.
So if you're needing help, don't hesitate to ask for it. Thanks so much.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much for
Christine.
having me. Thank you.
Thank
You look
you.
beautiful.
You do look beautiful, honey. Suits you.
Yes, of course it does.
Malcolm.
I was so excited I had to change my clothes, Janice. I was. You know, I've always wanted long hair. Did it suit me?
Absolutely beautiful.
Really? Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad you approve. Interesting hearing about the art displays as well at the art gallery.
With James and his
You know, I don't know
display.
whether I don't know whether you've been to an art gallery in your capital city or wherever you live lately, but it's one of those things that we often do when we're kids, and we forget they exist as we get older. And as you're a friend of the art gallery,
I am a friend of the art
I'll
gallery.
be friendly with anybody, obviously. But as you're a friend, you get invitations
I
to the
do.
different exhibitions and displays.
Yes, it comes to me in the mail, and I do get a yearbook of the exhibitions that will and displays that are coming up.
Right.
Recently, I saw was at the art gallery for the Black Rose, which is a South Australian artist, but it was photography, and it was sensational and still on. I think for a few more
Well,
weeks.
apart from anything else, it's a nice sort of change of
It's a-
environment
but
that
it
makes
is.
reinvigorates us, doesn't it?
Absolutely beautiful. So.
And we have to go right now. I'm sorry. We have to go. So do tune in to see us next time on Ad Time, and please keep yourself nice till then.
Look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now.
Bye.